like this that I believe have given me inspiration as well. If you come into historical times, you hear about great queens, great warriors, Rani of Jhansi or Kittur Chennamma and these folks. You come further into independence, you hear of Sarojini Naidu. But what strikes you, and Jaya just mentioned this, is that they are in the minority. All along they are in the minority, right? And they seem to have to deal with barriers that the men don't have to. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about that. However, today, as we look around us, we have women astronauts, scientists, doctors, politicians, political leaders, bureaucrats, people in science, technology, education, the works. I think they're everywhere. And I think that's something else that we need to take great pride in. The really interesting thing is, because we are in the minority, we also, when we achieve, tend to get talked about more, tend to get profiled more, tend to be exposed to society. That can be a little intimidating, but the interesting thing is it also allows us to be set up as role models. People that don't know us, that know nothing about us. We talked about Indra Nooyi earlier. I mean, who amongst us know her? But we take great pride. We take examples from how she's grown up and think about why we can't. And I think that is a big benefit that we can take away with us. The other thing we talked about earlier this morning is the world is changing. The world is not what it used to be, socially, culturally, politically. The world is changing. What this means is men and women now are being asked to do more, to do differently, and to contribute differently to the world. And this is our opportunity. When we talked about India 20, 25 years ago versus India today, the women in India have, in a sense, a much, much easier time. Companies need us because they need more workforce to do all the things that we have to do. They cannot afford to ignore 50% of the population of the country. So we have the opportunity, we have the basis to go do what we have to do. But what does that take? Before I get into that, I also want to say that the fact that we have all these women here in the audience itself says that we are making a much bigger impact than we ever did before. So let me go back to this minority thing for a minute. If you go back to schools, I think it is fair to say that classrooms have 50-50% girls and boys, right? Close. You hear lots about how girls do very well in board exams, who do better than the guys sometimes, so on and so forth. So what happens after that? What causes them to drop out? To me, it's the same phenomena as school dropouts. Something in the system, and I like to think about it as not just barriers in the workplace, but barriers beyond the workplace. These barriers are social, they're cultural, they're the ways in which we grew up, perhaps. They are what we see around us. They're the role models that we see. Maybe we see more of those role models than we see of the role models that we've seen here today. I think these are the things that cause us to slowly but surely, start dropping off the ladder. Now, I'm by no means suggesting that every single woman has to join the workforce, has to work. If you're perfectly happy, being a homemaker, bringing up your children, perfectly great, fine. Be comfortable with the decision and do it. But if you want to have a career, if you want to work, if you want to contribute beyond the home, then it is important to make sure you understand what you need to do and what you need to do not to drop out of the situation. A colleague of mine, we talk about women in technology being in the minority. There's also polarization in society on jobs. And a colleague of mine was saying that when he was studying journalism in the 70s, he was in the minority. And I can bet you he will empathize with women in technology today because, he's been in the same boat. So while we are talking about one field, there's a set of people elsewhere that have faced the same experiences as